Christie Arkovich from Tampa, Florida. I read yesterday that a lot of the governmental relief for tenants and landlords that haven't been able to pay their mortgages is still stuck somewhere in the progress and has not been distributed, the vast majority of it, in fact. So that raises the question of what kind of eviction protections do we have post-COVID now that the moratoriums are ending? And so I wrote a blog just recently on how to avoid eviction post-COVID and the inner workings of bankruptcy and its limitations. Bankruptcy may not fix your situation, so this is a good opportunity to see what it can do and what it can't do, most importantly, in order to keep you in the home. So now that we are seeing the end of these evictions, these moratoriums, I should say, it's a good time to talk about how bankruptcy can be used to gain more time if needed, especially for higher wage earners that haven't found employment yet. Perhaps technology has displaced their jobs, for instance. You have a lot of help wanted signs out there, but they're usually for food service and hospitality industry related jobs. They're not necessarily for all jobs. So I imagine there's a lot of folks out there who have higher paying jobs that have not been able to get a replacement post-COVID. And it's not to say that COVID is necessarily over either. With this Delta variant, of course, is still going on. So tenants of single family homes that are financed by the federal government are still protected through September 30. So we have a little over a month for that. For all others, landlords must still comply with the rules as they existed prior to the pandemic. There are various governmental websites that may have emergency rental assistance. For instance, treasury.gov. If you search for find rental assistance and then select your state and county, you'll see a number of different opportunities and things to take advantage of. There is a link in our blog about that as well. It's again at treasury.gov. You search for find rental assistance and just type in your county and your state. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau just released a tool about 2 weeks ago to help renters find and apply for payment assistance for rent, utilities, and other assistance. So again, that's available on the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's website. For all others, as most things, waiting too long can hurt. While the moratorium eliminated most evictions, it did not cancel rent. And so bankruptcy can be a good program to allow for time to catch up on past due rent. The key is to file before an eviction judgment is entered. The last major amendment to the bankruptcy code, which was 16 years ago now, called the BAP-CPA, included an amendment to the automatic stay. And so for residential evictions, where the landlord has a judgment granting them possession prior to the filing of the bankruptcy, there's no automatic stay as to that order. And that was significantly different than previous. So people tend to wait until all hell is already breaking loose. And in residential evictions, that means that they've already gone to court and lost, or they did nothing and they got a default judgment entered against them. So if you wait too long and those things happen, and if that'll cause you not to have that automatic stay protection. So if you file before any order for possession or similar order is entered, the stay still works. And for that, you would look at 11 USC 362B subsection 22. So as bankruptcy attorneys, the pitfall that we often see is assuming that you file before the judgment, assuming you get that right, is feasibility, making sure that you have enough money to fund the plan to be able to maintain the premises. And so the case law says that the cure must be prompt. So what does that mean? Well, most cases hold that the meaning of prompt is 3 to 6 months. Depending on how long the judgment is, or how long the default is, I should say, not judgment, paying back past due rent arrears in 3 to 6 months while still paying your secured creditors and also attorney's fees can be difficult. So sometimes if you wait too long, that balance is so large that you can't actually repay it in 3 to 6 months. You also have to pay your current rent, known as the post-petition rent. So in other words, the rent that becomes due after you file your bankruptcy, that's called post-petition rent. Now, it's possible that a negotiated time frame to repay can be agreed upon, as well as payable in the Chapter 13 plan. And that's what we attorneys are for. We try to negotiate that. Rents are on the rise, so agreeing to a higher rent, even in outside the box thinking, like offering to do some kind of an improvement. Let's say your box of skills includes the ability to drywall or the ability to paint or do some woodwork or something else. Anything within your skill set that's going to be an improvement to the property that maybe the landlord would agree to a longer time frame than the 3 to 6 months to allow you to catch up. Landlords are people too, and many of them understand the current situation. They want to help, but please understand they have their own bills too. Many of them have, they've got to pay out for these things. And so if there's a way to benefit them that would also benefit you, try to work toward a solution that is a win for both parties. So bottom line, unless you have a plan and an ability to promptly catch up your past due rent, a bankruptcy is often a way to start fresh and to receive a discharge of the unpaid rent, but you may have to move and find a new place to live. But this process can give you some additional breathing room to do so, and it would eliminate the past due debt for things that you may still owe on credit cards, on unpaid rent, you name it. The type of lease that you have might also matter. If you have month-to-month, for instance, the landlord can still evict you even if you state an intention to repay the back rent. You would have to get the landlord's agreement in advance to extend the rental period in writing and assume the lease in Chapter 13 and pay back the rent. So take a look at your rental agreement. If it's month-to-month, then the landlord has to agree to what you're proposing. If it's a longer annual lease, then as long as you're proposing something that fits within the case law, or the landlord agrees to the longer term, you should be fine. And using a bankruptcy to catch up on that past due rent will work out well for you. Please hit the subscribe button. We like to see the number of people that we are helping with these videos. Also keep on our list to check out our blogs from time to time. We have a lot of publications on there that are short, easy to read, about evictions, foreclosure, student loans, elder relief, things like that. Anything that's consumer law based. From a practical standpoint, please take a look at our videos and blogs. Hopefully we'll answer your questions. And if not, we always have the option to do a one-on-one consultation with any of our attorneys, myself, Barbara Leone, who handles a lot of our debt collection and bankruptcy issues, or Ha Dow that handles our elder law related issues. So thank you so much and hope you have a great day.